Welcome everybody to the DC New 52 review. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. I am your host, Paulie DC, and let's get into another one of these things. Today, I will review Green Lantern Vol.2. It was titled The Revenge of Blackhand, and it was written by Geoff Johns with art by Doug Mahnke and Ethan Van Sciver, with issues 7 to 12 plus annual number 1 being released between May and November of 2012. This series basically continued right from pre-New 52 stories, with Hal Jordan losing his Green Lantern status at the end of one major crisis, only to next be offered a new ring at the hands of none other than Yellow Lantern Corps creator Thal Sinestro, who was reinstated into the Green Lantern Corps after that same event known as the War of the Green Lanterns. As for the here and now, it's been made clear across the Green Lantern family of titles that the Guardians of the Universe are up to some highly antagonistic things, which has Sinestro finding Hal to tell him a new chapter is about to begin. Issue number 7 picks up right from number 6 as Thal interrupted Hal and Carol Ferris in bed. Come on, man, you couldn't at least let them finish before your dramatic arrival. Anyway, he demands that Jordan still works for him, considering his ring was dead until just given a charge now, but Hal says he ain't working for no one anymore, except for Carol, who makes that point clear right before Sinestro grabs her hostage in order to force his old buddy to join his new endeavor. At first, all this does though is get Hal to attack and then throw him in a headlock while threatening his life, but Sinestro quickly grows tired of messing around and gains control so he can drop the news that he found the fabled Book of the Black alongside Lyssa Drac in Green Lantern number 6, and within its pages, many intense future visions were shown, including the Guardians of the Universe replacing the GLC. That's not even the biggest problem right now, since Indigo 1 of the Indigo Tribe is seen having visions of her own before rallying her purple comrades with their Nook chants and using their teleporting abilities to find Thal, who is apparently destined to join them. Hal tries to talk with Indy 1, but she causes him to back off during the rest of the Indigos casually kidnapping Sinestro, causing them to be chased by Hal, I guess, but it also allows Carol to make her first Star Sapphire appearance. Oh yes. Cutting over to Green Lantern headquarters, the planet Oa, we see the Guardians up to no good at all as they visit the incarcerated Lyssa Drac and have to deceitfully satisfy Warden Lantern Vaz's worries about all the unrest lately. However, when it's found out Lyssa doesn't have the Book of the Black anymore, the GOTUs almost kill her because they needed to find someone called the First Lantern. Very ominous for sure, but let's keep up with what's in front of us as Hal is suddenly seen on the Indigo's homeworld of Nook. It seems that word is quite popular among them, and if you're wondering how Mr. Jordan wound up inside a cage having only underwear on, well, all I can say is him barely sneaking into the Indigo's teleport bubble earlier put him in this situation, which gets even worse when another freaky prisoner grabs him threateningly just to be stopped by the one, the only William Hand, aka Blackhand, aka former leader of the undead Black Lantern Corps that nearly destroyed the universe in the Blackest Night event. He was created by Gil Kane and John Brome in Green Lantern number 29, June 1964, but now he's an Indigo mentioning Abin Sur to Hal, and then Sinestro's name comes up, who is last seen surrounded by the Purple Core of Compassion. Ish number 8 opens on Sinestro being told by Indigo 1 that it is time to join her tribe, but first he must be cleansed of all the Green Lantern energy within him, except he won't go down easy, literally fighting tooth and nail, thus showing that this won't be a simple task. He also grabs an Indigo that struck him a second ago and crushes his face into some jail cell bars. Ouch. Indy 1, though, stops the carnage there by using her impressive power to really begin Thal's purge. Hal is next seen having blackest night memories while William goes on about being resurrected by a white light before getting snagged by the Indigos. Then he shows how his new core can channel all colors in the emotional spectrum, and as soon as he demonstrates Green's willpower, Jordan cleverly pulls his forehead in for a ring recharge, which allows you to ask this. Without his ring and its atmospheric shielding capabilities that allows every type of Lantern member to safely breathe on other planets or in space in general, not working here until this second, how was Jordan breathing on Nook? I don't know, and I don't care. I just doubt it's oxygen-filled only. Actually, his force field still doesn't even work here. Oh boy. A brief fight does happen though with a classic Hal Jordan threat, but Blackhand defends himself and brings out a couple violent prisoners that want nothing more than to kill a Green Lantern. These aliens being so nasty is later found out to be a clue for a very dark secret. However, with a crew of Indigos incoming, Hal has to take off in a hurry, traversing through the intricate hanging prison cell system of Nock the old-fashioned way due to his ring's power being limited, but a motorcycle construct is all he needs to sort of escape because it is realized that this entire planet is pretty much an extremely large prison. Interesting. Well, actually, that's minor compared to what's found out next, as Jordan locates a secretive-looking central hub, and inside it is a large statue of the highly decorated and heroic Green Lantern Abin Sur, the one whose ring went to Hal after his passing, and he was also Sinestro's brother-in-law. There's even more to take in, with his statue casting images of Abin apparently being the creator of the Indigo tribe, starting with Iraq, or Indigo 1, who was said to be Mr. Sewer's greatest foe. At least he would be proud his brother-in-law is now one of them as well, which is absolutely not what Jordan wants to witness right now in any way, shape, or form. Issue number 9 kicks off with Sinestro's full indoctrination into the Indigo tribe being shown, a rather grisly process, but it leads into him having flashbacks of his time meeting Abin Sur's sister, Adin Sur, who he later fathered a child with, better known as Sodanik Natu of the Green Lantern Corps. But the relationship got rocky when Thal is told a Green Lantern ring cannot solve the civil war on his planet of Korugar, and Adin sure as hell was right because she loses her life in that conflict thanks to a child suicide bomber. Mega ultra yikes. This fateful memory does seem to be his breaking point into the Indigos though, and now he's showing his new compassion to Hal. I liked how instead of having fear for his life here, he just gets weirded out by Sinestro apologizing to him. Never thought he'd see that day. Indy 1 stops any scrapping from happening though, right as Green Lantern New Guardian member Mahnke teleports in, so now we know where he went in that title's number 8 issue. Anywho, Hal says he's not leaving without Sinestro, so his next grand move is to NASCAR race into Nock's forbidden jungle. More like a rainforest because of the weather that hits during Hal's venture deeper and deeper into it, and against all statistical odds he somehow ends up exactly where the sacred indigo light is kept, wherein the pygmy-like keeper is met, and he's called Nostromo, who's an original creation that recognizes Green Lanterns. He's rather informative too, telling Jordan the word Nook means compassion be with you, and that along with Ab and Sewer, they created the Indigo Tribe. A bit of story time comes next, as Nostromo says he's a true native of Nook, but the last one due to invaders wiping out the rest of his kind, until Ab and Sewer arrived to liberate the planet, and thus the two became friends that discovered the indigo energy of unknown origin, so they used it to create the purple rings and central battery. The more shocking part of this story is indigo rings literally brainwash you into a passive, remorseful, borderline vegetable, and the first to wear one was the killer of Abin's daughter Iraq, better known as Indigo 1. Yes, this indicates that all the indigos in truth are truly vicious, sadistic killers. I honestly didn't see that one coming, and before Hal even has to ask why Abin would put so much effort into something like this, Nostromo tells him his predecessor somehow saw the future, warning him of the blackest night. Dun dun dun. Wait, that event already came and went, says Jordan, and Nostromo's reaction is, oh, okay, cool. But something even worse is coming, called the Guardians of the Universe. Even a bigger dun dun dun. Not gonna lie here, the Indigo Tribe ain't doing shit against the GOTUs by themselves like Abin thought. Their rings being put on the Guardians won't do anything. Hal not only has to take all of this in, but sadly has to break the news of Abin Sewer's death to Nostromo, who takes it beyond badly, bursting into tears and shutting down the damn Indigo Central Battery moments before Sinestro and his new friends jump onto the scene, just before snapping offline, meaning it's gonna be our two main stars versus an entire core of deadly aliens. Oh, and the Guardians were seen finding Starstorm from Volume 1 and asking about the Book of the Black, but since he has no answers they want, he is eliminated brutally. Yeesh. Issue number 10 continues directly from the previous, with the recently released Indigo Tribe trying to rip Hal and Sinestro limb from limb, except for the confused William Hand, who only wants to escape this planet. Nostromo, meanwhile, is running through the jungle being looked for now by our two leading men up until Sinestro decides to fight the Indigos for messing with his head, but Hal grabs him saying that's ridiculous and it's time he actually accepted his help in full. After that nonsense is figured out and Sinestro stops being so thick-headed, the duo goes cruising on their way to searching out Nostromo's whereabouts, while having one of the many detached yet companionable chats they get into, which ends with Nostromo being located and at first here threatened at sharp stick point by Sinestro, but Jordan stops him saying they need little Natty to reform the Indigo Central Battery. The way Hal is then taken back by Sinestro simply agreeing with an okay definitely got me to grin. He's then ready to buy some time for his partner by taking on the insidious Indigos hand to hand, while Nostromo is convinced to help fix what he destroyed. And it even looks like Iraq has her own plans during this, sneaking away alone. Back to Hal, he's telling Nostromo that he used to wear Abin's Green Lantern ring during their travels back to the Central Battery, but attempts to restore its purple power are unsuccessful. Luckily, Iraq finds them in tearful way, having still regretted her past, and with those genuine tears of sadness, Natty finds the spark needed to bring the Indigo Light back to life, thus returning the tribe to their docile forms. I was kinda curious about some of the ones that got names like Kriavin and Slog the Slayer. Maybe another time. To finish here though, Jordan goes on to persuade the Indigos to let Sinestro loose with a promise that he believes he can do good again someday, Yeah, that's a huge promise. William Hand has a bit more of a direct approach to leaving the Indigos, it seems, which is taking a header off of a cliff, causing, you guessed it, and this denies his new ring a body, but while he lays there a splattered corpse, the old black ring he once wore returns to him. Uh-oh. Issue number 11 starts up a new plotline beginning with Sinestro being returned to his normal Green Lantern self, but not without a bit of help from his own willpower, and once he's talking regularly again, Hal informs him that Nostromo altered his ring, breaking Sinestro's control of it, meaning it can damage him now, unlike before, displayed with a quick little test. If Thal wasn't already red-skinned, he sure as hell would be at the moment due to anger he's keeping in. But he veneers it by making it known that Blackhand is missing, with the only remnants of him being found are a black slime splat garnering a lot of questions. The one thing that matters most is where his undead ass went, and the answer to that is back to Earth for some Chinese takeout, followed up by a visit to his deceased family members at a cemetery, wherein he demonstrates his raising the dead powers. Blackhand then takes them home for a rather single-sided conversation entailing his plans for genocide, thus enabling him to bring them all back as the new Black Lantern Corps. I guess he wouldn't be evil enough if he just, used all the already dead people on Earth. The Guardians of the Universe are seen quickly tracking Sinestro, who has Indigo 1 teleport them to Korugar, where she is thanked by Hal but threatened and ridiculed by Thal. It's funny because all you're thinking here is show some kind of thanks, but Sinestro makes a joke that Korugarians have no translation for that word. Anyhow, he next takes Hal to his secret underground hideout base and saying Blackhand works for the higher being Necron, while Jordan tells him vaguely that a lot of promises had to be made to release his purple control, so be grateful. Regardless, an old screensaver of Adin Sur pops up on a computer only to then be destroyed. Sheesh, look at Mr. Sensitive. To finish though, Hal gets to see the Book of the Black that is stashed away here after recovered from Lissa, who betrayed the Yellow Lanterns to become a Black Lantern at one point. And because Sinestro knows about something called the Third Army, the Book of the Black is opened with dark visions bursting out like sin from Pandora's box, showing Guy Gardner in prison, Red Lantern leader Atrocitus commanding the Manhunter robots, and a new human Green Lantern that carries a real gun. Problems arise in the present now though, as the two stars are whisked away straight to Blackhand's door thanks to the book. Issue number 12 has art by Renato Guedes and Jim Calafiore, with us finding out the Book of the Black is part of a series of other books of light that were written by unknown writers long ago, and when William opens this one up, he is dismayed to see the Green Lantern Corps inside of it with words saying Hal Jordan is not his enemy, which has him and Sinestro equally confused, so Hal thinks fast by taking a headshot at Blackhand, buying only a moment because one of BH's abilities is regeneration. Jordan next reminds Sinestro that it takes two different colors in the emotional spectrum to put down a Black Lantern zombie, so their best bet is trying to contact Carol with her Violet Lantern ring, and she's briefly seen talking to Suicide Squad leader Amanda Waller about her core, a hint at a plot that never came to be. What does come to be here, though, much to our two Green Lanterns' horror, emphasis on that word because it is a horde of zombies ready for flesh. The Guardians of the Universe make their appearance again in this issue, with them being embarrassed the Green Lanterns needed help from all the other color corps to stop the Blackest Night, so that's consummated into wanting them all eliminated, starting with the 4 human GLs, and thanks to the tracking of Thal, the now full-out villainous Guardians have found Nuck. I thought y'all already knew everything about the universe. Also, I thought y'all were basically omniscient. How do you not know Hal has a Green Lantern ring again? Whatever. Hal and Sinestro next get to go Zombieland on their foes that are coming out of the ground now, all while the recovering Blackhand urgently searches his book for answers, asking it why would Hal be mentioned in its pages, and what he's told is a real eye-opener, which we'll see in a minute, because to end, Sinestro pulls his former Yellow Lantern out from a pocket dimension. Why not, right? And it's sacrificed by him being used as a mini nuke that wipes out all the zombies but leaves Jordan and him unconscious at 0 power. However, Blackhand doesn't take advantage due to the Book of the Black telling him Hal will be the greatest Black Lantern ever. Alright. I'll be covering annual number 1 in a series of videos starting next week covering the Rise of the Third Army story, because it acted as a prelude to that crossover, but for the rest here, the two stories were audacious and alluring. Everything revolving around the Indigos had you questioning for more and really wanting it. Their whole premise would have made a tremendous mini-title alone, and then you had the return of Blackhand, who would become a major player because he was too good of a character to have on the sidelines. To bottom line it, this volume was uber entertaining while almost being filler setup to a big crisis event. Getting into art now, I think I've said this before, but at this point in time, Doug Mahnke was a total veteran Green Lantern artist, and whatever's asked of him, he delivers on. Here it was a creepy, stellar set of Indigo members, a littering of wicked action scenes, and possibly one of my favorite double-page drawings in this entire series. Finally, for dialogue, it was charisma on top of charisma on top of charismatic. Hal and Sinestro had a great friendly foe thing going on. The introduction of Nostromo to help break down the Indigo tribe's history fit right into place, and I liked how there was nothing existential or extra about Blackhand's villainy. Just classic evil because he's evil, and his speech let that be known. That's gonna wrap up this review, and if you've watched until the end here, I want to personally thank you for that, and to please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow me on all my social media platforms, and to please join me next time for the beginning of the Rise of the Third Army crossover.